First, I want to share this mind-blowing realization I had while watching the Grammys. When Victoria Monet won Best New Artist, holding her award, she said,
"I like to liken myself to a plant who was planted, and you can look at the music industry as soil. And my roots have been growing underneath ground, unseen for so long. And I feel like today I'm sprouting, finally above ground."
To everyone else, she looks like an overnight success, but it was actually 15 years of making music, growing her connections, and doing live performances. That means you are not growing too slow either. You are doing exactly what you need to, growing the roots that will lead to your overnight success. If you're feeling frustrated that you are not there yet, I hear you. I have been there. Anyone who has any success has been there. And that is the truth. This first root is one you might be struggling with right now. Why isn't it happening faster? In the beginning of my business, I asked myself that constantly because it seemed like none of my business ideas were getting any traction. As I was throwing everything I could think of at the wall, I started connecting with people on social media. And one day, with a surprising burst of chutzpah that came from I know not where, I messaged a woman whose questions I'd been seeing on Facebook. I said, "I'd love to help you for free. All I ask in return is your help with a few market research questions." After about 2 weeks of helping her for free, I opened my inbox to see an unexpected message from her. "You have helped me so much for free. I know I'm gonna get so much more if I pay you. So how can I hire you?" This interaction taught me everything I needed to know about that fear of things taking too long. When you take action and show up day after day, things will shift. High five to that. It will still take time, but your actions completely change the equation, because then the only question left is when your breakthrough will happen, not if. Over the years, I have lost count of how many people have said to me, "I didn't buy from you until after I'd seen your content every day for 3, 4, 5, or more years." Seriously, the unfortunate truth is most talented people fail only because they give up too early. As long as you keep going, eventually someone will say yes. So when you're in that difficult waiting period of growing your business and essentially just plowing away, take yourself out of fear by asking yourself one question. Am I taking action and showing up every single day? This is the first root. But this can be a challenge, especially if you're a perfectionist like me. It's why I see a lot of new business owners holding off on selling until everything, including their product, is perfect. Take it from a recovering perfectionist. Perfection is an impossible benchmark. In case you didn't know this about me, it took 5 years and 8 massive overhauls of my first flagship product, Employee to Entrepreneur, before I even considered it excellent. But, and I really hope you hear this, I was selling it the entire time that I was refining it. Because guess what? It was good enough. People still loved it. And that's true for you too. This is the second root, because all of this is actually just part of the process. You put something out, you grow it through feedback, and then you improve. Rinse and repeat. The key is turning your perfectionism into motivation to build an excellent product, starting with good enough instead of letting it be a bottleneck that keeps you stuck. Something else you might also not know about me, unless you knew me 10 years ago, I am also not a natural at writing or communicating. Seriously. It used to take me up to 3 hours to write a so-so newsletter. And if you look back at the older videos on this YouTube channel, you will see that I have had to work very hard, let's just leave it at that, to improve my video presence. And I'm sharing this with you because there's also something else that's gonna require time to become excellent. You. Now I can whip up a great email in about 30 minutes, and my videos are, a lot better. The reason is that I realized something. Most things, including your content, are a lot simpler than you're probably making it. What trips people up is caring too much about your business. Don't get me wrong, you absolutely should care, but over caring can lead to feeling stuck because you get in your head. You get worried about what other people are thinking about you, and that is a sure recipe for failure. Let me know in the comments if you've looked back on a piece of content you created even a month ago and cringed. It still happens to me a lot of the time. Then that affects your ability to create your next piece of content because you get stuck in analysis paralysis. But when you feel like this, remember that the most followed YouTuber in the world started off by creating a lot of bad content. He said, and I'm paraphrasing from memory here, before I started even being not horrible, I created 1,000 videos for 1,000 days and spent every day analyzing and improving with a group of friends. What I love about this is it gives you a very clear map for how to get better at any skill in your own business. Do it every day. Like, make one piece of content a day. This is route 3. I know that can feel daunting to say the least, especially if you're also working a full-time job like I was when I started my first online business too. But if you can do just a little bit each day, it adds up faster than you can imagine. For example, I've now created about 500 YouTube videos, about 1,000 Instagram posts, hundreds of live streams, and thousands of emails. Not to mention countless interviews, media features, and guest blogs. It still blows my mind, but that's how small focused efforts each day can have a sort of multiplier effect. Day 1, you're maybe not so good. Day 50, you're like, okay, now I got some skills. Speaking of which, there's one skill in particular that I highly recommend you take the time to build. The skill of teaching what you know, which is completely separate from the skill of knowing what you know, aka route number 4. Because you can be great at something, but that doesn't automatically mean that you'll be good at helping others with that thing. For example, when I first started teaching people how to get clients, I taught the same process I had used. And part of that process included not building a website until I'd made over $20,000 in sales. But guess what? It did not land well. So many of my clients told me that does not feel good to me. Turns out, my clients were afraid of not looking serious enough. And they had a point, because when you're teaching, it's not just about the facts. It's about the thoughts, fears, and doubts of the people that you're teaching. This skill, like everything else we're talking about, takes time to develop. But that's why it's route number 4 that you're building. It's worth it. Plus, if you can't help people get results, you're not gonna be in business for long anyway. What's more, and this is so important, you can't do it all alone, which might be a hurdle you've come up against already. Maybe you've even tried outsourcing, but it didn't work out the way you'd hoped. The truth is, it takes time for your business to get to the point where you're ready to take responsibility financially, mentally, and emotionally for other people. But this is the route that will make the biggest difference. In fact, it's one of the things that I am most proud of. Once I connect with the right person, they remain a part of the LZ team for a very long time. For example, I've worked with my web designer, Laura, for over 9 years. It's not common to hire a designer so early, but I knew I wanted to build something long-lasting and beautiful. Plus, I could tell that Laura was the kind of person who could help me build that vision and grow with me. Spoiler alert, it worked out. The secret to a relationship like that is trust, which is honestly really simple if you break it down. First, do what you say you're gonna do. And this includes paying on time. Then, make it easy to work with you. Here in LZ land, we are all about the straightforward communication and no drama. Plus, as I've grown, Laura's skills have grown too. She's told me that seeing how I've grown my business and manage a team has helped her run her business too. That is the beauty of route number 5. But even knowing logically these roots take time to grow, it can still feel really discouraging when things just are not happening fast enough, especially when you compare yourself to other people who are making more and growing faster than you. I have been there. Sometimes though, what you're seeing is not the whole story. One of the most common examples is when people who have just made 7 figures call themselves millionaires. It's an exaggeration because I promise you, most of that million did not end up in their bank account. Maybe they even spent close to $1 million to make that million. It's a lot more common than you might think. I'm not saying people are lying, but it's important to do the math and not take things at face value. My whole point here is to remind you that you are not as behind as you might think. To give you an actual data point, I didn't become a millionaire until 4 years after I'd made my first million, because it takes time to build your business to sustainable profitability. Plus, learn how to manage your money and profit. What does end up in your bank account is what counts. Just ask the chief financial officers of any large-ish company. It wasn't until after I'd figured all this out that one day I looked at my bank account and I was like, whoa, I have $1 million? And that is route number 6. So instead of focusing on what you don't have yet, that word being the key, focus instead on doing the things every day that will get you to your goal. I know though, these things are easier said than done. So I would love to hear from you. Please let us know in the comments how you have been taking action towards growing your roots.